Submit. Right. Right, let's lose that. Right. I'll just click on that. Right. We're in. Don't need that. So go into right. Oh, got it now. This is typical. Welcome to that chat, remember. Right, let's go. Now I've lost. We're back available. Right. Oh, crumbs. This is working, but that computer has seemed to have lost all the internet. I've deleted the internet on it. Just concurrent view. It's in the only one thing for it. I'm going to shut this computer down and start again. You just might like it wants to update itself. Restart. Right, where are we up to? Back. Virtual Scaleforum. Click onto that. Where are we up to? 10:33. We are open. Right. Let's explore. Well, I better stand back and welcome anybody who's available to watch. My name is Jeremy Suter. I'm the stores officer for the Scaleforum Society. So welcome to this virtual 2020 Scaleforum. Just wish we could have a proper show. Anybody out there who wants to know anything to do with the stores, anything to do with what I'm doing, please ask any questions via the live chat. We are also doing free postage on all orders today, and that goes all over the world. So, morning, John. I can see you're watching me. Hope everything is okay at your end and you've set it all up and we get a few visitors. So we'll have to see how it goes, but any questions, please, anybody ask me. I've got plenty of stuff to show people throughout the day if they want to look at it. All the stores are here and readily available. I shall make up orders as we go, as they arrive. So please get ordering and hopefully I won't run out of stock. So we'll take it from there. This is my workshop. Milling machine, lathe, workstation. So, any questions, please ask. Just need to check the other computer which has broken down, which I can get emails on without changing the page. I just need to wait for it to restart. It's lost the internet before, which I don't know why. I've got the modem brought in here, so we'll just have to see how it is. It's an old computer, so we'll wait. It's pain in the bum at the moment. Anyway, let me say a few things. I'll bring up my layout board to show the track gauges, which I have here. So I can move the camera at any point to aid anybody's view. So just ask. That's about it. Any questions out there? And hello to anybody who's watching. This does feel strange, I must admit, and that computer is not restarting yet. Bit of a pain, but we'll just check any emails on this one. No orders yet. Better. Don't know what's gone wrong. Hasn't been on for a long time, so it's probably decided to update itself. As anything out there. Hi, the Rory Strat. I remember you talked to me earlier on, but I can't remember your name. Is it Pete? Anyway, anything out there, just type it in and ask the question. We feel strange. I'm going to be here till 11:20 when I'll take a short break, and then hi Pete. I thought it was Peter. I'll take a short break for a cup of tea and a wee, and we'll see where we go from there. But any questions, please ask. Hopefully, I should be making a few orders. I might even get some modelling done if nobody's out there. So this is where we are. Oh, we're working. No, we're not. I don't know if you can see the camera, the computer over there playing up. It's typical. I did try it last week, but it decided to do its own thing. Anyway, anybody out there? Just remember, we're doing free postage today, and it's good to hear from anybody out there. We're done. Story of my life, things go wrong right at the right time. It's coming. Anyway, hopefully we shall have some orders to put together shortly. And this is typical of all Scaleforums. I don't get to see it. I'm having to do something. I can only watch them in the retrospective. Anyway, let's just see what we get on. It's not connect. Oh. Oh well, it looks like I'll have to use the phone for emails. Anyway, there are no orders have arrived yet. But remember, we are doing free postage on all orders today. So if you want to say hello, want to ask me any questions, please type them in, send them by email at stores@scaleforum.org. That's not what I'm looking for. Typical, I have lost the Internet Explorer on this for some reason. Anyway, we've got something decided to work. I think it's decided to work, I think not. Something is happening. with mail. Right, it's just loading up. Yes, Peter, the Exactascale products are in pretty good supply. Everything that I order comes usually within a couple of weeks anyway, both wheels and track components. Occasionally, one or two bits are out of stock, but they can replenish them fairly quickly anyway. Essex Injection Molding do all their molding work, and they arrive fairly quickly to where they're needed. To Tony's house, who makes them up, and sends them to me and to the EM Society. Right, we're in here. No orders yet, so nothing to do yet but talk. Anyway, as I said, Exactascale products, track components readily available all the time. The wheels, they seem to be. Eddie Bourne, who makes that side of it up, he did run out of axles fairly recently, but they're soon back in supply again. Again, Essex Injection Molding are doing their injection work. Hi James, I see you're out there. Hope you're getting the hang of it. Not like I am yet. I'm feel kind of silly standing here talking to myself, but at least I can see on the computer that people are actually looking at this. So I don't feel as if I'm talking to myself. It's just knowing what to say without anybody talking back to me. And it's a shame, actually, that you can't do a live chat where you could talk to me. I don't know whether there were any other platforms we could have done this on. Don't know enough about it. And of course, this is my first attempt at anything live and talking to properly. I've had a couple of practice goes where, again, I felt silly just talking to myself, but at least people were out there listening. So we'll just have to play it by ear and hope people do ask more questions, give me something to talk about, because by the end of the day, hopefully, I'll either have lost my voice or run out of things to say, lost myself completely. But it does feel strange talking to the computer. It's a shame I can't see everybody else. Perhaps we should have done this on Zoom. I have plenty of plans to do Great Western, more Great Western kits, certainly on the rail motor side of things. I can't remember how many variations the Great Western actually had, but I then might as well do them all. We've got the chassis. The underframe can be stretched or reduced as and when. The bodies, well, they're the easiest part actually to draw, so I can move on to those. But there are several other vehicles that I've looked at. Obviously, there are some that have been already done, but I might try and improve on them. So there's those. There are plenty of bits and pieces still to do within Brown Morgan range, of course. A lot of the soul bars haven't been done yet, so I have started on those. James, I've often wondered what a million rivets looks like. Can we see the society reverse? Give me 2 minutes. I'll get them out. Right. This is not a million rivets. This is 100,000. So yeah. Have a look inside there. I'll take out the spare bags I've got for the moment. And before I tip them all over the floor, have a look inside. That's only 100,000. I suspect there's quite a lot more than that. Last time we ordered them, I ordered 500,000, and 500,000 was probably to about that height in the box. So I suspect there's probably 150,000 there. They don't count them when they machine them. They just turn the machine on, and so many hours later they turn it off again. But it's all a case of weighing them out. And I've got a control packet, a nice little balance somewhere in here. One of these drawers. There. That is the control packet, and a very nice balance for making them up. I suspect they will last me another 2 years. It's difficult to say. I have sold the EM Society 40,000 earlier this year, so they may want some more later, which will get me to order them sooner, obviously. But it's how many we have to buy to get them at a decent price. We don't make any profit on rivets, or not on the volume that we bought. What we do is whatever is over after the 500,000 we've sold, that is the profit line. If there's any left, we make a profit on those. They are basically sold at cost, and hoping that the machine that cut them out originally cut more than the 500,000 that I ordered. So that's it. I've just put the camera back. So that's the rivet, and it's a fairly simple job weighing them out. Just weigh them out, put them through a funnel and pour them into a bag. The EM Society's rivets should be the same as ours because they're using the same rivets as us. There is a variation sometimes in the size, and this is probably because the earlier batch which I mixed in with them, which weren't many, and a few odd packets that I've been given back that I weren't 100% sure are 1,000 in them. I've just poured them back in the box. Now, one or two of them have been, I can't remember, it's slightly smaller or slightly larger than the majority that we have, but there is occasionally a variation. Now, whether that's because they came from a different supplier, I don't know. We've had them from Clarkham. Sorry, it's not Clarkham. No, it begins with the C. Can't remember. Cleveland rivets for the last 18 years. Prior to that, I don't know who we bought them from. The company that originally did them went bust, and they've been doing them to the same drawing all the way through. You've lost our head. Yes, I've put the camera down a bit. Sorry, just looking at me with my hands in my pockets. I'll just push the carpet back in. Where was I? Yeah, Cleveland Rivets produced them for us, and all the way through, I've been doing them. Well, while I've been doing the stores, they've been doing them. Well, if you got yours in the 80s, they're probably from an earlier batch. Well, they're obviously from an earlier batch, but probably a different company made them for us. And I can't remember who it was when I took it over the stores. I did get some from the first company, and they went bust. So we had to find another one, and it was Joe Brooks Smith who found the company to do it for us. But in the early days, they were originally steel with tin plate, galvanized or whatever. They were coated steel. So occasionally I get those back, and they turn up in various lots when people give me things back to sell for them. But we get those rivets. Although I usually let them go cheap because there's been a lot of complaints about them. With them after a while, the coating parts from the steel rivet. Although Alan Goodwillie, if I get them, always wants them. He swears by them. I can demonstrate a Morgan chassis build, but I'm sure David Brandreth was doing something on them because he did ask me. But just say which one you'd like me to have a go at, and I'll do it. Some of them haven't got sol bars yet, I mentioned earlier on, so I will be drawing up sol bars for those variations. Thank you. One of them being the N27 all steel mineral, which I have actually drawn. I've had it tested. I let somebody have them, and I need to have another lot done because they haven't got back to me to say whether they were good or bad. One or two of the others need to be redrawn because when Brian Morgan drew the original artwork, he didn't draw one sheet of 4680s. He drew one sheet with 2 of those on and 6 of another and 13 of one, and the proportions are wrong. So I can do that. Anyway, just say a Morgan underframe, and I will go and get one, and we'll have a look at it. So just let me have a sip of this before it goes cold. Oh, that's good. Oh, we've got an email there, so have we got any orders? No. John Bateson. I'm unable to chat, but I can see the video. Did I spot 4 lathes and a lily? Yes, there are 4 lathes, John. I have a small, if we bring the camera over to you, that is the BTM watchmaker's lathe. I bought this one fairly recently because the Bowley over here, well, actually it's an iron, but I've always called it a Bowley. The lead screw went in this, and I thought I would have to replace it, but actually I managed to get a tap and die for the thread that I needed. I made a new bush to go in there. So, in fact, I made 2 because the original one only had a bush in this end. Now it's got a bush in this end as well, and that has closed the gap, so there's no backlash. Then over here is my large hobby mat lathe. I've had that 35 years now, and I've done a lot of work on it. Fantastic machine. I couldn't afford to buy a Myford at the time, and this was £500 then. And not look back. It's been an excellent machine, done a lot of work with that. And the third one I've got, the fourth one, over at the other end of the room. In fact, it'd be easier if I brought that round there. Take that away. Pull that off. That's a Lorch watchmaker's lathe. I bought that because it was cheap. I can't remember how much, but it was about £120. It hadn't got a motor on it, so I bought myself a sewing machine motor, which only really has, I'm going to say it's only got 1 speed, and it sometimes slips, but it does work. It works very well, and I use it really for making buffers. Usually square shank material I put in that lathe, make the buffer shape, then turn it round, put the base in, and drill it out on that lathe or this lathe. So it's very good, but for £120 at the time, I thought I couldn't leave it, so I bought it. I got it on eBay actually. One thing it hasn't got that I have thought about making or buying one and fitting it is the Jacobs chuck. But it is a 6mm lathe rather than 8mm. 6mm meaning that where are we? That is a 6mm collet. where this one, the bigger one, is an 8mm collet. It's difficult to show it off here, but there they are. As I say, I don't use it particularly often, but I couldn't leave it. Right, we're okay. Just checking the emails on that other computer. So they're the lathes. And we'll put that there and pull that up. You might want to wait until you have viewers to do a demo, but I have some DC1 on the build list. The DC1, is that the 4420? Let me just double check. Right, just check. The DC1 is 4400. I'm actually out of stock of those, but I do have one of the original test etches somewhere for that. I know I stuck it in here, but what I put on top of it is another question. So really, if you've got another one, choose. It would be better. There are a few we're out of stock of. 4400s, 4410 off the top of my head, and about 4 others. The popular ones are the cattle wagons and the brake vans. They tend to sell out quickest. So if I get a chance in the 10-minute break, I'll have a good route through here and see if I can find the original test etch. It's actually got not so many parts on that as the production etches did. No, we're all right on that one. Just checking anybody giving me emails. But as I said earlier on, just remind everybody that we are doing free postage on all orders today. And that is all over the world. So if you're out in the Australia, New Zealand, wherever, we are doing free postage to you as well. Any questions, please do ask. And we'll see where we go from there. Well, I'll have a look at what breakdown I've got. I might have to use my own stock. I must admit, I've never done the brake van yet myself. So I'll have a quick look in here. Oh, no, it's a DC2. W DC1. Got one. Well, we can put that together a bit later on. Have I got a body that what that wants? Yes, I have. There's a in here actually. That will probably want the DC1. What is it? Yes, it is the right one. In fact, I've got several of those to do. And again, the DC1s are very popular. And although I'm out of stock of quite a few of the Morgan bits at the moment, I have got an order I was hoping would be here by today, but when I spoke to Photo Etch, who are doing it for us, they tell me that the earliest they could have got it out is the 30th of September, which means it comes next week, but I'm going to be away a couple of days next week, so I've actually put it back to coming the following week after that. Breakdown, of course. I'll have to double check the stock, Thought it would be easier if the stock was here. Let me put that down there. Weight band is 4560. I have one. The 4570s I haven't got. Now that is the AA13. I have a kit for it somewhere. Yes, it's the old. Who on earth did that? I don't know. And I've got a chassis out for it already at some point, so we're okay with that. We can have a look at that this afternoon and I'll put it together. They are fairly easy to put together. They're just modules, and you basically make up modules, and all the modules fit onto the underframe itself, the footplate part of the underframe. So I'll set it up this afternoon, and we'll make that. I'll lay that there. In fact, I'll keep that out as well. And we'll move the camera closer to where people can see. Okay, I'll move these out of the way. Just to remind everybody that we are doing free postage today all over the world. So ask any questions, and I hope to be here to answer them. So well, the AA1 kit that I have, off the top of my head, is a 7mm shrink down from what was in 7mm, I think called pocket money kits. What they traded under in 4mm, I can't remember. Now, have I got the instructions? I'm not sure. They did do the castings as well, and where they are, they're probably in this room somewhere. I don't know. Generally, I'm fairly tidy, but things like that, little packets, I'll put them down and then put them in a box and tidy them away. And when I come to want to build it, I've lost them. But I'm not sure whether I've got I have got a ratio one somewhere. Yep. I've got a ratio one. £1.30 it cost me. No, it's been reduced to £1.4p. So it's actually probably a bit modern for me, and that's why I've never made it. I was hoping to do the wooden below the rail, and I'm not keen on moulded handrails, so they've got to come off at some point. But anyway, the underframe should fit this. Let's have a look. Yes, it does fit this. I had a feeling one of these, either the 4460 or the 4560 or the 4570 in Bramwell's instructions was a shunt job. It was a cut and shunt job. I can't remember who told me that, but as I've not made them, I've not checked them. So I did feel that it would actually be better if we redrew this complete drawing, this complete etch anyway, so that we didn't have to do a cut and shunt, which I'm not keen on. But we'll find out when I come around to making it. But as I said, where is it? Where's the camera? That's the etch for the AA13. It does say something on it. Oh no, GWR 20-ton tone. JH or JHM, I'm not sure. So we'll come with a magnifier. Yes, it's JHH. he's obviously the person who drew it, but what he traded under 4 mil, I can't remember. I'm sure somebody out there will know. Put this away. Pocket money kit. That's it. Yes. It is the pocket money kit. I've just realised, there is a soul bar there. And the soul bar is the same length, I think. Well, it's probably a fraction longer, actually. The wheelbase is the same according to this, so that the cutouts for the axle boxes. Oh no, I'm wrong. Yes, it is slightly shorter wheelbase. Yes, we'll have to forget that and go with the ratio one for that. Unless it's the other, which it is 45. 4470. Oh no, that's okay. 4570, the AA16 Toad. That's the AA13. Where did I put that edge? I've lost it. How can I do that? Typical me. Anyway, I shall have to get the other etch out and check it when they arrive. Hopefully, the end of next week or the following week. Anyway, anybody else out there wants to ask any questions, please. About anything, whether it's the stores, the lathes, machines, whatever, ask me a question, and I shall hopefully be able to answer easily. And remember, just be sure we have just check emails. That one seems to have gone over again. Pocket money kits. I think I heard you mention pocket money kits. They came from connoisseur models. Yes, John Bateson has just told me that pocket money kits came from connoisseur models. Yes, they do. And well, my introduction to a time of pocket money was all I had. Yes. So, well, we've lost the computer here. We've gone again. Anyway, anybody out there wants to ask any more questions, please do. Of course, one of the other things that I wanted to do with Brian Morgan was soul bars for the brake vans, as he hadn't already done them. Whether he was going to or not, I'm not sure. Certainly he left spaces on his numbers sheets, as it were, to put them in if they were done. So that's worth looking at. Right, we're back up with this. That does. Anyway, where was I? Right, let's put that back in away. Anyway, this afternoon I'll put that brake band under frame together. Probably in the 1 o'clock session if we haven't got any orders. Because I'd like to get orders done as quickly as possible, and we'll get them out certainly at the beginning of the week so that they're not hanging around. Anyway, where are we going? Let's just put things back into shape. I can go back in the cupboard. Right. Let's get back on there. As I say, the WN 4570 is listed in the store as AA3/16, but AA16 is an older outside frame van, and I'm not sure the chassis fits. I think it's better if it's the AA6. Could be wrong. I think that is the one that is a cut and shunt that, who was it told me? I can picture his face, can't, yes I can. Mark somebody. He's been rewriting or going through all the Brian Morgan underframes and the instructions and making sure that the instructions that Brian wrote are adequate for the kits. Because one thing Brian did tend to do was write an awful lot of words for not a lot of actual work. He would say 20 words when one would do a lot of the time. Very nice chap, must admit, but he could talk the hind legs off anybody. Anyway, Mark Davis, he's going through all the instructions and having another look at them and checking that they can be done. So I think it was him that told me that it was basically a cut and shunt on one of these brake bands, which that one is. I could get the book out and double check the wheelbase and what have you. In fact, is it here? No, the one I need isn't there. So it's upstairs in my book cabinet. Anyway, just to remind everybody, we are doing free postage on orders, all orders today. Orders can be taken by mail order. Mail order orders can be done by the email system, or you can phone me up and I'll be here till 9 o'clock this evening, ready to take any orders. And obviously, while the show is online, the postage will be free, but I will run it to any phone orders this evening as well. So, any questions that people want to ask about the society, please contact me via the live chat or via an email at stores@scaleforum.org. That's the best way to contact me. So any questions, please do ask, and we'll be happy to help anybody. Anyway, we'll be going for a short break in a few minutes, so come back. I'll be back shortly. Anyway, we're all ready to take any orders, and anything anybody wants to ask, please do. Right. That box will do. Put all those in there. Back up there. but I have a DNS AA16 to go. I need underframe for that. An idea when the revised instructions might be ready. Not sure when the instructions will be ready. Mark did send me a early version about a month or so ago and was apologising it had taken so long. Obviously, he's still working through it. It was quite good. He used the original pictures that Brian had taken and was taking a few himself, but off the top of my head, there weren't any of his new pictures in the instruction sheet which he had produced. When it is available, I will put it straight on the stores, not on the store, sorry, on the Society's downloadable section of the website. So hopefully it will be fairly quickly. Other than that, I can't say much more. Anyway, that's really all I can say about that. I gave myself up. We can do that. I'm going to turn off in a minute, or I won't turn off. I'll be not available for a minute or two while I rearrange the camera, and we might as well put this under frame together so that it's on the next section of thing. I'm not going to turn the camera off. I'll just keep it running and we'll edit it afterwards if anybody wants to have a look at that on its own. I'll just take a short break and check any emails. Thank you. Right. So. Just move those out of the way. Turn the iron on. Right, with camera and computer. Well, the camera is easy to move. But this will have to go over to there. So just show you, the camera is now on top of the lathe. Well, we have light problems when looking at this, so put this hopefully. That on and drop that down. And that should be, you might turn that off because you'll get glare with that, and I need it. Move that there. Take it there after that. Let's move that cable. That's the foot pedal to the Bowie lathe. And that's going to be the easiest way to do this. I usually tend to work on my lap, so bear with me while I set this up. Ah, that's it. That's what I should have done. Moving all around. Anyways, I'll just take a quick break. It's hard work, actually. Remove those, and these are my building wheels. They are absolutely dreadful. If you look carefully, they are kind of rusty. So I use these for putting the kit together and making sure everything works, and take them out afterwards and put a new set in once the chassis is done and painted. So that I don't ruin too many sets of wheels. Nothing bolts. Phosphoric acid flux, Car's green label. This is 6040 solder and an Antex 50-watt iron on a variable temperature. Now, one thing I hadn't mentioned before, something which is not in the stores, but we did have done, not the society, but one of the Shropshire and Herefordshire group, Stephen Duffel, he came up with the idea. And these are AJ couplings. They've all been made. You need to get a dark background. They've all been made by a spring company. And we had 1,000 done. He took 500 and I took 500. They're not quite right. That's why we haven't put them in the stores. We've had trouble with them, with the folds. So putting them in the jig before I throw it away. I've lost it. Oh, there it is. Putting in the jig, they're not quite right, but obviously there's nothing to stop me bending them even further. The first problem was that the first fold is not quite tight enough. So I'm afraid I'm going to have to put that on. I can bend them slightly myself so that they fit the jig. I just got to remember which one's going which. It's about tighten it. That might be better if I take the light off it. I wonder if this one helps. It does fit. I can't see it without the magnifying. It does now fit the jig. All it needed was a slight bit of tightening. So this was a product I was hoping to put in the stores, but because it's not quite right and we've got to do this, I've not put them in at all, but I've done them for myself. And I don't know the company that did them. Stephen Duffel sorted all that out for us. I just went in with him. Anyway, let's check the lighting. It would be better if I have that down there because I need this to do work. Anyway, quick shifty round the tool bench from here. I've got the soldering iron. I get out of the way. Box of files, and then the various tools that we need. Generally, they're lined up and various, so I can find them easily. Although I can lose them while they're in my hand. And the various pliers and cutters. Anyway, starting with cutters. knife, tweezers, probably take 2 pairs. I need those for that. And let's start with, this is an old blade in this. I'll sharpen the knife. Right, need a cutting board. I try not to cut on this board, although you can see cuts in it, just because I like to keep it clean and flat. And start by cutting the pieces out. Or the pieces I need, first of all, starting with the main foot plate part. And just simply cut those out. Where we still start with that one. Where we caught that's out, that's out, that's all. Oh, there it is. There, got it. And that one. Starting with those, and a quick clean up where I can with the nippers. There. Choose myself a file of there it is. Yes. Not too sharp and not too so just cutting out the main underframe piece. And cleaning up the edges. With the file. So that's the first piece cut out. Just a quick clean up on there. I don't want to be too hard. I don't want to cut it off, or snap it off, I should say. So just gently take that piece off. Now then, we need to pop out the rivets. That's a very fine punch hole. This is out of a watchmaker's stake set. And that, if you can tell, I'll say, so I've punched out the rivets there, and they are a plain fold, 180-degree fold. And as long as I don't push the rivet back in, I can push those into position where it ought to be. Now then, soldering wise, slip on a bit of phosphoric acid in that gap on the back, extend the solder. Now the soldering iron is at, according to the thermometer there, 425 degrees. I just haven't got enough solder there. Touch the back where the flux was, and that should run into the positions where it is. So if I just hold that down there, put that hold that down there, put that on there, 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 and there, and that will pull solder into this area here. You should be able to see it glowing, or shining I should say, and that is done. Now then, just to make sure that it's right, I will run a file along there, not too vicious, just gently. That will take off any excess solder. The next part, of course, is to fold this over. Now, this is personal choice. Before I fold anything like that, I would like to run a knife along the fold edge. A couple of strokes just to make sure it's easy to fold. Now I tend to fold in these bending bars. And there are he says something. Oh, there it is. Just clamp them up. Make sure we got it in the right place before we try to fold it. It should be just slightly proud the fold line of where we want it to be folded, so that the bending bars are not in the way. Now, for this, I tend to use a ruler. Quite a bit of force along there, And if I don't think that is quite right, I need. Hi, Paul. Where are we? Paul, I'm not sure whether you heard me earlier on, but the EM Society buy their rivets from us. I did give them the details of Cleveland Rivets. Whether they've bought any from them since, I don't know. Anyway, going back to what I'm building, we put the first fold and the first soldered part in the underframe. Next part really is to fold up the other side and the ends. So again, put that over there. Scribing the fold lines. Just to make sure that the fold will be good. And back into the bending bars. So folding in from the bottom. Setting it almost flush. And tightening. I've just realised that I have done it on the other side. Oh, no. Forget that. I haven't got it set right. Where are we? I don't clean the material before soldering. The acid flux should do that. I'll just put this on so to make sure I got it in the right place. Yep. The acid flux should clean the clean the metal for you. I have had problems in the past with solder not running on the metal when you put the flux on, and usually it's been, I suppose, oxidized, where it's been, something has been made partly, left for 12, 18 months, and then you go back to it and you find that solder, or the solder doesn't flow on the metal. Then I've cleaned it, but it's not fresh. I've had this kit 10 years. It's been in a bag. It's been away from the air. So the metal hasn't oxidized in any way. There's no solder on it already. And I found that if you make a kit partly, come back to it 6 months later, the solder has also oxidized as well. And you put an iron on it and it doesn't tend to want to melt instantly until you add flux, and you need a lot of flux at that point. But I'm very much a believer in, when you make something, don't start anything else until you finish it. At least the building part. So if I'm building one thing, I don't build anything else for any. Trying to say, I do this commercially. So when I'm building a loco for somebody, I might have something on the go for myself, but that's done in the evening. I don't build anything else for anybody else until it's finished. Then I paint it. But while I'm painting, I can start on the next build, because obviously painting, you need to wait for it to dry. So I feel I don't need to clean the material before I solder it, is what I'm really trying to say, unless it's been already had solder on it at some point. You know, just get back to folding this over. Where am I? So make sure that fold is good before taking it out. Right, let's just read the things. I suggests that the borders are crossing, etc., which I need. I know that you have clean material for something. I suggest that you do crossing, etc. is good. Etch plates for overlaying rivets. Yes, I do sell etched plates for overlaying rivets. They come from Eileen's Emporium now, but they were built or designed by Bill Bedford, and it's the number 165 slide chairs. If you give me 30 seconds, I shall go and get one. In fact, there's one just here. Let's put that up there, and let's get the light right. Might be easier if I took it out of the packet. Morning, Doug. How are you? Anyway, there we are. That's the 165 slide chair, designed by Bill Bedford. They fit over the rivet in the common crossings. Obviously, the slide chairs, I tend to use these at the V and around that area, because I feel that you want a wider area to fix everything to. So it helps with electrical contact onto the wing rails. Oh, 8:50 p.m. Golly. So this is a late night. Will be a late night for you, because this is only morning for us. Anyway, they slot over it. Let me find a rivet. Right, let's there's a few rivets out of that box that I showed earlier on. Let's move those out of the way. It might be easier if I got myself yeah. Right, these are a couple of stained sleepers. I'll just slip a rivet in. I must admit, I find this the hardest part is finding the rivet into the hole. especially when I was doing them by the layout, just making them up, because I didn't have a very good magnifying glass there. Anyway, slip that on there. Just clamp those down. So our riveted track, if I have it the right way round, the slide chairs, see these, just double check, fit over there. They are a slightly loose fit, so when they're soldered on, the solder needs to fill the gap hole, and that's over that one. There is a very slight discretion in the height, so if you are using this, it might be an idea to, once you put these on, to file the top of the rivet down to make sure that it's not loose. So that is those. Anyway, just going back to this, let me just move these around the table. I'll put the rivets over there in the corner. Anyway, going back to the underframe, a bit of soldering and what have you. They just kicked the table. I hope you can actually see this all right. So back down there. Now then, I have folded up both sides. Let's get the light right, so that we're not both sides folded up, soldered in the piece. I need to turn up the ends, which I will do these with a pair of pliers, and I should put that at an angle so that it don't affect the side, and just carefully fold it in to position. And the same with the other side. Now I did catch that before. So again, folding up into position. And there we are. Now, I'm not going to solder any bits yet, but at this point, there are lots of little bits on the underframe that need to be pushed up for brakes and what have you. So I'll just push those out with tweezers. Like so. And then a pair of pliers to pull them into the correct position. Need to pull this one out a bit further. Now, just remind everybody that if anybody wants to put an order in today, we are doing free postage, and that is all over the world, not just in the UK. So there will be a saving. That is for online orders and for telephone ones as well. I will be available till 9 o'clock this evening if anybody wants to put a phone order in. But anyway, that's pushed all those in to position. That one is folded back on itself, and all the rest are at 90 degrees to the body. That one I'll put a touch of solder on. Put it on the outside, as I would call it. Just a dab, and a nice small join there, keeping the outside clean. Now then, oh, I've missed one. There's another one there. Bit more solder on. And all done. What I would call the outside. So, got the basic underframe all folded up. From that, we need to make up the W-ands for the opposite side. So again, on the cutting board, cut the pieces out. Right, so I need this one. Now, anybody out there want to ask questions, please do. I shall just put that there. We're okay on the other. Nobody's asking anything by email, so we're all right there. Back onto there. As before, just, where are we? Cut off. I'll fold that up. The edge cusp and no. Now then, just quick clean up the edge, and of course this one here, which I don't want to damage. Using, again, the stake, or the press from the stake. I need to see the holes. Yes, I've got the right side. Just push out the rivet. And they're okay. Again, fold that on itself. It's 180 degree fold, and just crimp that down, making sure I don't crush the rivet. This position. On the back, some flux, again because green label, a touch of solder on the back, clean off the iron, turn it round, just get the glass right. No, we've got a bit heavy at this end, so take it off again. That's clean. And push it down. I will hold this down with the tweezers. It is a small part. Need a bit more flux on there. just in that corner. And it bubbles nicely and allows the solder to flow. Now, I do have a bit on the front. I'll just clean that off with a glass fibre niche. This is the only cleaning I'll do. It looks like it's taken out the rivet, so again, try and take some off with the iron. Yeah, that's better. Pull the rivet back. Cleaned up. Just run the file along there to notice it's not quite square. So to square it up, I'll put some flux on there. Let me get the glass over this a bit better. Let's warm it up. And where are my tweezers gone? Just I was going to say just move it, not snap it off. So, anyway. Whoops. If I just can't seem to hold it, that's my problem. Put something on it. Hold it. Sorry, heat it. Hold it and remove the heat. Obviously, David Brandis will do this with his what's it iron? No, it's still not square. I'm not happy with it. So again, hold it down. Heat it up and move it. Oh, I snapped the thing completely off, but as I say, that's better. Although I suspect on the real thing they were probably damaged in some way at some point. Just clean that up with my glass brush, and that will take all the solder off the front. So, got to that one. There is another one somewhere. There it is. I'll try and put this one on squarely. Again, cutting it out on the cutting board. We will first of all cut off the excess. Doesn't look too bad, this one on there. This side I always do with a file because I can't put my cutters close up against it. David Mandritt, I'll take it. Just came here to hear my name mentioned, yes. Well, I know you're a big resistance soldering fan, so I thought I'd give you a mention. I do have one. I have the plunger here, ready in case, but I tend to use the ordinary iron 99% of the time. I only use the resistance for some 7mm work, but I find it far easier to work with an ordinary iron. I think it's 30 odd years of modeling with an iron before somebody came up with a resistant soldering iron. To me, it's welding. Well, right, so we haven't got that square, but it is now. Again, on the back, solder. Touch in the middle. Flux on over the corner. Hold that down and everything. Oh, I didn't clean my iron first. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I shall flood it and take it off again. Too busy talking. Clean up that join, and then, as I said, I'll take it off with this for now. Of course, now I've lost the rivets. I ought to pay more attention to what I'm doing rather than reading the comments. Why don't we hold that down? I'm using the finger to wipe any excess solder off that I put on by accident. Anyway. The glass fiber brush will clean it up. Although this is a bit of a long-winded way of doing it. Right. We've still got a little bit over this rivet I need to remove. Let's clean the brush down properly. Still something on it. There. Can't quite get that last piece off. So the old story, if you don't want to take it off, don't put it on in the first place. That was my own fault for reading comments and not paying attention. Just up to the rivet and away from the rivet. Yeah, that's better. Anyway, this is the sprung end, and this one is the fixed end. So we'll fold these into position. I've already folded up one end. That end can go into position. That's a good right angle. And lastly, this end. Now then, for strength, I will put a small fillet of solder in there. Same on the other side.
5 minutes, starting now.
Clean the iron. So that's one side done. Do the other side. Again, holding that in the pliers, fold that up, fold this one up, fold that one up, making sure we've got a nice right angle there. Not too worried about these folds being not quite right angles because they're out of sight. Although, actually, this one does need to be because, of course, it's where it's screwed to the body. So again, fillet of solder in there. And fillet of solder in there, and the flux has allowed it to run into space. We've got the two opposite W irons just folded up. One of them has to have the spring mounts done, so we'll fold those into position. Just using the tweezers. Like so. Right. Thank you. I do use just reading the comments here. So there's those two done. What we do need to put in are the 10BA nuts. Now this is a job. What we don't want to do is fill up the threads with solder. Now, on this particular version, I am going to just hold it in place with a pair of tweezers, a bit of flux in the corner, and solder. Squeezing tight, and it's allowed to flow all the way round both sides. The next question is now, have I filled the threads with solder? And I can see some in there. So if I just reach over here, and pick out that's a 12BA, 10BA tap. Where is it? I'll just clean it up. There's not much there, but so it's cleaned out nice and easily. Right through from the other side. Yeah, that's fine. That's one way of doing it. The other way is without flux. This is a little harder to do with only two hands, but into position. If I can get the screw in. Put a screwdriver in there. And it's typical, it's one of these screws that is not got threads all the way to the end. So take that out. Find myself a couple of washers that are on the edge. Let's take this out. If we don't want to throw them across the room, lose them to the carpet god. That's it. Thread that onto there first, and again find this. Thanks, love. It would be easier to put this in first, I think. I'm guessing what choice left. 14, 12, that one I want. So where are we? Let's get this right. Let's unattach that before I screw this up. And make sure this is in the right position. Make sure it's tight. Use that. Put that on the board. Then I need to hold this in position. So if I put that there, give that plenty of heat and add in the solder. If it gets hot enough, I should be able to put it on the other side. Like so. Leave that to cool down a minute. And hopefully I should be able to just unscrew this. Like so. Take the washer off. And that's soldering without using flux. Right, it's now 20 past 12. I'm going to take my lunch in a couple of minutes' time. So there we are. We've put the basic foot plate together. We still need to add in the section to screw those two. So let's define those on here. I can't see them. They must be there somewhere. I can't have lost them. There they are. Let's clean those up. Just put that to one side. That's just waste. I've got a box of scrap somewhere I can add this to. There's those. Where do they fit? There must be somewhere that fit them too. Oh, I'm not sure what I'm doing here. I forgot to fold these pieces in. That's it. Yes, pay more attention to what I'm doing instead of reading the captions. There, holding those with tweezers. A bit of flux on the back, just a dash, and what we'll do, let's put this back over here. A small amount of solder on the iron and on the back of there. Just leaving it in place, and the solder should run into position. Moving down to the other end, again, there's a small slot for that piece to fit in, and making sure it is bent correctly. Holding that in position with the tweezers. The flux on. Solder on the iron, and then leaving the iron in the same position, allowing the flux to draw the solder in. Or on this end than the other, but doesn't matter, it's running nicely. So, we soldered those in. I don't know how. You can see that end, and it's clean on the inside. But I can just see a small fillet of solder with a lump on it. And to remove that, I've got a steel squawker here. Just run that in there to take it out. Now the squawker is actually an engraving cutter for the Gravograph pantograph milling machine, which is an old one that I've just used for cutting these. In fact, I need to resharpen it because the point is not quite as sharp as it ought to be. I might do that while having lunch. Anyway, there we have, let's get this the right way around. This one goes at that end, and this one at that end. They're ready to be attached. Now then, that's not quite sitting correctly. And it's nothing on the bottom there, nothing on the bottom there. Which is sitting fine, but that's it. So there's the first part done. Now then, I'm going to take a short break and get some lunch, and I'll be back in half an hour. In fact, I shall write a little note saying back at 1 o'clock. So, hope there are some questions to be answered by then. Now then, I will just check emails to see if we've got any. We have a Scale 4 order. The first one of the day for, oh, it's a big order for Neil Smith. That's great. Just remind everybody that we are doing free postage during the day, and hope there are a few more orders. Thank you. Right. I shall just leave that running, but I'll turn the mute on if I can find it. Now then, I'm back. I've had a spot of lunch. We've had a couple of orders, and I've also had an interesting question from Colin Stevenson. He's asked me whether we can have rail in metre lengths. The answer is yes, I can post them. I've got some postal tubes that are metre long. There will be, obviously today we're doing free postage, but in future it will have to be, you'll have to contact me and pay the excess postage. Off the top of my head, it's about £11 to send the tube, even without putting any contents in it. So when I've sorted Colin out, I'll know some prices. Anyway, let's get back to doing what we were. Let's get myself geared up again. So let's have a look at this. Where was I? Right, we are building the AA13 underframe crit from Brian Morgan, and we've done the first section, which is basic underframe and putting together the W-arms for the opposite side. So I am just pushing them around the table excuse me at the moment. Anyway, first things first, we need to put in the top hat bearings. These are wasted bearings, and I prefer these myself, especially with any of this springing underframes. Not so bad with the plain rocking ones. Now these are Allen Gibson top hats, and they don't quite fit the hole that Brian has made, so I'm just going to enlarge the hole with a round file, a sharper one than that. One should be nice. Let's just put it up. I've got my box of files here. Move the light. Let's get this right. And as I say, to enlarge a hole with the file, I push it in and roll it round clockwise so that all the cutting edge is not winding into the hole, so that it doesn't get stuck. Obviously, if you wind it anti-clockwise, it just gets tighter and tighter and distorts the hole. So run it anti-clockwise, and that will cut the hole. So using tweezers to pop them in, I've enlarged that just enough for the top hat to fit in. I will solder that in position, soldering on the inside again using the 6040 solder. A little bit excess on my iron. Let's take that off. Let's have a good look at this. And under that, and just allow the solder to flow into position. Just check I've got that in. Yes, it's not popping out and it's in squarely. So that's one side done. Moving again back to the body. If I again twist my file clockwise so it doesn't get stuck in, just a few more turns. I can see on the file where I did the last one turn, it should be about right. I slot that into there, and that's a nice fit. And again, a little bit of flux on the edge, clean that, solder on the iron, and then onto thing. And a quick flash over, and the flux draws it all in. So we're in. Just check the front, and we're still nice and clean. A little bit of solder just there. We get rid. No, it's not. It's just a mark on the metal. It's there. Right. Now then, the next stage is to attach the. Where are we? W1, and I'm just going to screw these in place with 10BA screw. That fits nicely in there, and the same at the other end. Of course, these can be, the W iron can be removed from the body without taking the screw out. Taking the screw out completely. And again, screw that into position, and that should hold. Now then, those screws could probably do with being shortened, but I shall leave that for now. Now the next stage, excuse me, is to make the springing section, which is done by this little jig on come on. Just that's better. Turn that upside down. I can cut them. Now you get two of these on the edge. If I stick that there, hopefully you should be able to see that. Get that out of the way, and we get the. There we go. Getting the light right, and this angle is not easy, but we're in there. Anyway, let's put the camera back. Very simple. Piece of it is a case of with the pliers, fold up all the folds. Now, being small, short, I'm not going to play around too much. So we've folded all of these folds by 90 degrees, and there's still 4 more to do. Now then, that's it, basically folded up. I just need to get myself another 10BA nut. Let's pop some nuts and bolts, see if we've got one in here. Some 12 ones there, I can see. There's one. And first of all, I shall solder that in place with a little bit of flux in there. Solder on the iron. Allow it to flow generously in that section. A little bit more heat on it will allow the solder to flow nicely. And now I will just check it's okay by cleaning out the threads with a 10BA tap. Yes, there's a little bit of solder has got in there. But, not much, just scrape that off, unscrew it. Now then, that's that piece made. Now we need to make some springs for it. Now I'm going to use some steel wire. Right. Run this. Off the top of my head, it's 0.22 mil wire. Take myself a short length. These tweezers, these cutters need sharpening. He says, hopefully, I might cut them. But, they're an old pair, which I tend to use for this sort of work. It's a bit. Straighten it out again. This is steel, stainless steel wire, and they fit through the little weeny holes, if I can see them, in that piece that we were making. Right, so I've got one made up somewhere. Of course. Have I done that wrong? Just think for a minute. How does this fit on there? Of course, there are two of them, aren't there? That's right. And I've forgotten how this thing fits. I'm going to have to go and get one to double check. So, there we are. Right. Yes, because they are handed, these things. Did I put that one together wrong? Yes, I did. Forget what I did before. I knew it was wrong. It's that one should go that way round. Didn't look carefully enough. Knew there was something wrong. So that all folds are 90 degrees inwards. So it should look like that rather than the way I had it. So let's go back to the other one and we will fold that up into position as it should be. That's it. One at the front and one at the back. Yes, I ought to pay more attention to looking at where the fold lines are. Anyway, as I said, make sure everything's 90-degree folds, and that needs to be. pushed into position, and going back to my wire one in one side, and we'll have another piece to go in the other side. There we go. Slot that into the holes. And if I was to, let's hold this properly. Solder on there, sorry, flux on each end. And let's make sure we got this all the way across. Pop a solder on there. Make sure that's, yeah, that's well and truly stuck. And on the other side, the same. Bit of flux. That's getting hot. I shall hold it with the tweezers. So, good fillet of solder on the inside at the back, and a good fillet of solder on the inside at the back there. That will hold those in place and allow them to spring. Now then, let's have a look at this. This one seems to be in a wrong position because there's no springing allowing. It's not allowing any springing, I should say. So let's push that on there. Hold them down. Allow the solder to reposition it. Same on the other side. That's good. That's a lot better now. Now then, I shall take off the nut from this one that I did wrong. We can chuck those in the scrap. The new one down. Put that in position. Just thought this board has got rather a few black stains on it. What's on the other side? It's a bit cleaner. Does that look any better? Sure. Oops. Right, that's sitting nicely in the section where it's supposed to go. The half etch is in a bit of flux. I think I've moved it, but it doesn't matter. And solder in again and allow the solder to flow nicely in there. Now it's hot, I'll just move it back into position. Anybody got any questions, just feel free to ask them. You can contact me through stores at scaleforum.org or through the live chat section. Just clean up the back. I've got a bit of wood stuck to it, and run a 10 BA tap. Let's do it from the easy side through the hole, making sure it's nice and clean. Yep, that's okay. Cut off the excess, which is the wrong side of the solder. The one springing section. Right, where are we? The next section is this piece, which is going to allow movement on our piece, and again cut off all the tabs with a pair of tin snips and fold into shape. That got first and the two sides. Trim that closed, and that should fit into the section there, which it does nicely. So there is that part. We'll solder that in position. Probably need to sharpen this to get the flux in the right place. There. Let's hold it in position before we add the solder. Well, a bit more solder on it. Yeah, good fillet there. And I'm catching this on. Yeah, let's see what I'm catching on. It might be easier to do it this way around. Of course, would have helped if I'd taken these off first. Sit there, undo that. Yeah, that's better. I'll say a bit more flux. Hold it in position. We seem to be losing heat somewhere. Now it's coming back. So make sure it's hot. Yeah, it's far better this way around. Those two little lugs that I pushed out are getting in the way of the iron. Anyway, that's better. Must admit, brass is not my favourite of metals to work in. I much prefer nickel silver. Unfortunately, Photo Etch, who etch all this for us, only do brass in this gauge, whereas PPD do the 12 thou in nickel silver as well. Anyway, I'm not moving the tools now. Nice solder joint. Put this back on. Now, does anybody want to ask me any questions to do with the stores, please go ahead. I did have one by email earlier on from Colin Stevenson. I'll email him back direct just to say that we do rail in meter lengths, and you can buy it by, I can send it but I'm not sure what the cost will be yet. So bear with me on that one. I shall just clean up this edge. Find myself another file. A square one will do. Just a bit of a tight squeeze getting the W iron to fit. John Bateson has just said, what are you using to cut the brass? I've never found anything suitable such as a tool you have. I'm cutting the brass with either shears, tin snips, or a knife. Now, cutting things off the sprue with a knife. I sharpened the knife earlier on, just on a carborundum. It's an old blade, so they don't last long. But if I use an old blade, cutting them out like this, whoops, let me grab that. We'll move on to the next part, and that's the spring droppers. So this has been sharpened earlier on. 1, 2, 3. You can just hear them click as they are cut through. 4. So that's come out quite nicely. We took those. 1, 2, 3, 4. James Morehouse, do you